Well, we've entered a new year, but what does the passing of time mean, apart from the fact that I'm 54 this year? It seems as though with the passing of years, we become more and more displaced and wonder what's going on in the world, maybe just becoming grumpy old men. But the rhythms of life go on. But where's it all going to? That's the question I'm going to discuss with Dave.
Well, thank you, Steve, for telling us your age. People will be astounded at that because, believe it or not, I'm going to be 59 this year, and I look so much younger than you. But it's strange how we live in a culture where, in some cultures, the older you get, the prouder people are. But here, we're thinking about, what is time and why are we bothered about it, and what are the rhythms of time? And as we're observing things, what's our place within time? So we're going to listen to a song. Now, you said when we went into this, just as we were getting ready, that this is very Dave music. Well, I appreciate that because this is cultured and sophisticated and intelligent. And these are lyrics that last longer than 2 seconds. So we'll listen to part of this. We won't listen to the whole thing, but I would recommend to the viewers to click on the link and just go to and listen to the whole song because I think it's beautiful. But we'll come back and then, Steve, you will have something to say about it.
And I am pondering the citizenry of the place I live. Privilege and advantage, but a willingness to give. These droves and droves of immigrants came teeming across the plains. Cavalry behind them, we are what remains.
And if you've got $1, someone will give you something for it. But a little more will get you something nicer, I'm sure of it. Maybe a watch that's made in China from the trunk of someone's car, or a life-size cardboard cutout of a famous movie star.
But somewhere bells are ringing, somewhere someone's marrying, or a casket someone's carrying. A crowd somewhere is gathering, somewhere a bell is marking what is passing and sublime, like the clock of the world, keeping perfect holy time.
Okay, I said that was a Dave song, but why is it a Dave song? What do you like about that song, Dave?
I like the lyrics because they're intelligent. I like people like Leonard Cohen and Bob Dylan because they use words like musical instruments. And I think Krista Detor, who's the author of that song and the singer, is quite remarkable in that regard. And I also like it because when I walk around our Tarman Reserve and if I listen to it, it really does make me ponder the passing of time and my place within it and other people's place within it as well. So for me, it's a profoundly meaningful song.
And what does it say about materialism or the stuff that we have?
Well, I love the line, maybe a watch that's made in China from the trunk of someone's car where you're buying. And it basically talks about we go and we buy things, but ultimately they all rot. And they're saying it's asking the question of Ecclesiastes. Surely there's got to be more to life than the stuff that we buy.
And what about the significance of, I noticed the things like bells ringing, which is always a significant thing in art. And also talking about someone getting married. What's going on there?
Well, somewhere bells are ringing, somewhere someone's marrying, or a casket someone's carrying, a crowd somewhere is gathering. It's, you're a pastor, you know what Jesus said about how people would be marrying and being given in marriage and so on when the end days would come. And it's suggesting that life just continues as normal, except we are heading somewhere. There is a destination. These are the normal things of life. In the year that lies ahead, there'll be people that get married. My daughter got married last year. There'll be funerals that you or I will attend. Hopefully not our own, but maybe hopefully our own. The bells are ringing. The bells is just a symbol of, hey, pay attention to the passing of time. And I think that is a significant thing. We move on. All my children are now married. And I'm thinking, oh, hang on a minute. I just got married a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it feels like that. My daughter turns 20 this year. My son just turned 13, and it feels the same way. And reading through the Bible this year, as I start again in the reading through the process that starts within the beginning, the first part of the Bible, and then it ends obviously in the future of the Bible. What does the Bible teach? Because it's got a long stretch of time. What does it teach about time?
Yeah, well, I'm going to ask you to read Ecclesiastes 3:1-8, because it's an amazing passage that we've often read at funerals. And I think it basically says, is time something God has created, and time is something that God is in control of, and that God is both outside time, he's timeless, he's eternal, but he's inside time through Christ. Actually, it's extremely difficult, by the way, to scientifically say what time is. But I think the Bible's teaching still stands. So I love this passage. So you read that, and I'll just say a wee something to finish.
Okay, let's read the very famous words from Ecclesiastes in chapter 3. It's part of the wisdom literature of the Old Testament in the Bible. For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. That's called COVID, by the way. A time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. Sum it up for me, Dave.
Look, there's a season for everything. There are times and seasons and rhythms and so on, but God is sovereign over it all. Later on in that chapter, he says, God has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the hearts of men. So we live in time, but we have eternity within us. And then he says, but we cannot fathom what God has done from beginning to end. So I would say, Happy New Year to you, Steve, by the way. Happy New Year to everyone who's listening. And may your time this year be used wisely to prepare for eternity.
Thanks, Dave. What's happening next week?
Oh, we're going to look at the secret of life. So that's a small one.
All right. I can't wait. See you then.